Hello, Disney fans. It's November, and that means Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a time of not just wonderful food, but of getting together with those we love. And anyone who has a non human family member who happens to have fur, skin, feathers, it doesn't matter. We know they are family. And definitely get to join in the holidays with us. That made this seem like the perfect time of year to review one of my favorite Disney movies, Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey. Now, if you haven't seen this, as the title suggests, it's about two dogs and a cat who travel hundreds of miles to reunite with the humans that they love. This is actually based on a book that was written decades earlier called The Incredible Journey by Stanford. And this book was itself made into a Disney movie which followed the book. The only real difference is the original Incredible Journey didn't let you hear what the animals were thinking, which I think makes Homeward Bound a lot more fun because if you listen to the dialogue, if you know what it is to have a dog or a cat, you're like, yes, they absolutely think that. The main two dogs are Shadow and Chance. Shadow is a golden retriever who is on in years, and those of us who have had an elderly dog in our life know the kind of love that those dogs give and the kind of loyalty they have. Chance has been rescued from a shelter. He is a bulldog puppy, and because he's been abandoned before, he doesn't quite get the devotion that Shadow has for humans. He likes humans okay, but he's more into getting into mischief and having fun.
Shadow was faithful. Shadow was loyal. Shadow was a chump. And we just sat down there while I had all the fun upstairs.
Along with Shadow and Chance, the family also has Sassy the Himalayan cat. And Sassy absolutely lives up to her name, as we see from the moment we meet her.
Chance? Sassy? You just woke me up from a very deep cat nap. What's the matter, Sassy? You get up on the wrong side of the litter box? Even a very great beauty needs a beauty sleep.
I love all the pets' names in this movie. Sassy is definitely Sassy. Chance, they took a chance on him when they adopted him from the shelter. Now, the first time watching this, it might seem a little unusual to have a dog who is a golden retriever named Shadow. You might think that name would be right for a black dog. But Shadow more than likely got his name because he's Peter's shadow. He is never apart from Peter. So when they're separated, when the family has to go on a trip, it is heartbreaking. The family was always going to come back for them, but of course, how do you explain that to dogs and a cat? Their reaction is so heartbreaking. Cats are known to be more standoffish, but Sassy is, of course, worried about where the little girl Hope is going.
Where are you going? All right, all right, all right. Easy on the fur coat.
Poor Shadow whimpers as he sees Peter pull away, but Peter's last command to him was stay, and Shadow's going to obey Peter even if it breaks his heart to do it.
Wait.
If there's one goodbye that can come close to how sad it is to see Shadow and Peter parted, it's Chance's reaction, because he's been through this, only his humans before never came back for him. And you know he's never gonna forget that.
Oh no.
Although the pets miss their humans, Chance adjusts easily to farm life. He finds a lot of things to investigate, and the lady who's watching them is really nice. But she has to go away for a while herself and trust her neighbor to come look after the pets, which he would have done. But when the pets see her leave, they realize something's not right here. Or at least, as far as they can tell, something's not right. Besides which, way too much time has passed. And that's when Shadow decides, I'm going home and nothing is going to stop me. And this moment where he jumps the gate is amazing. It's a big gate for any dog to jump. But when you consider Shadow's age, just think about the loyalty that had to have taken to be able to jump that to get him over that fence.
I don't care about gates. I'm going home.
What?
What did you say? No way.
I haven't talked about the voice actors yet. Shadow was voiced by Don Amici. Very good actor, very well established actor. In fact, this was his last performance, his only voiceover work. Being such a talented actor and a well respected, well known actor, he might have said this kind of role, voicing a dog in a Disney movie, was beneath him. But he gave an incredible, heartfelt performance. Like I said, one of the things I love about this movie is if you've ever known a cat or a dog, you can listen to these voice performances and be, yes, that's what they would be thinking. Michael J. Fox voices Chance and does very well at portraying the young, spirited, fun-loving dog that Chance is. Sassy is voiced by Sally Field, and I've read that she rather resented playing a cat in a Disney movie. She does a great job voice acting, but you gotta wonder how much the sassy sarcasm is supposed to be sassy, and how much is Sally Field being like, I don't want to be here doing this. But all three performances are incredibly memorable, incredibly heartfelt, very well done performances. Shadow leads Chance and Sassy on their journey, but there's going to be a lot of danger for them. The first thing they got to deal with is there's nobody to feed them out there. Although Sassy being a cat, she's able to hunt and fish, and so she ends up providing food for the two dogs.
Oh,
Say it.
okay. Cats rule and dogs drool.
I can't hear you.
Cats rule and dogs drool. You happy?
Thank you, precious.
You're welcome, cupcake.
You can tell Sassy's having fun knowing the dogs are relying on her. But going hungry is only one of the dangers they face. The pets encounter a family of bears, although thankfully they're able to get away before there's any harm done. The next danger they face is when they come to where they have to cross a river and there is no bridge. The only thing to do is to swim across where the water is gentle. For a golden retriever like Shadow, a water-loving breed, no problem. Chance loves swimming as well. But of course a cat doesn't like water. Sassy decides to cross further down where she finds a few logs and stones that she thinks she can use to hop across. And she almost makes it until one of the fallen trees breaks and she's swept up in the water. Shadow tries to save her, but she ends up going right over the waterfall. That scene always bugged me when I was a kid. I knew it was just a movie, and of course, no cat actually went over a waterfall. The moment when Sassy goes over was, of course, filmed using a fake cat. but at some point you can tell a real cat was actually in water. Well, this was actually filmed using several different cats, and no individual cat was actually in the water for more than 8 seconds. They always had a harness on, and there were always people very close by to make sure nothing happened, and the scenes where you can tell it's a live cat in the water were actually filmed in a heated swimming pool. So the cats were never in any danger, although I imagine they probably didn't like those 8 seconds they were in the water too much. Although I have heard a story, I don't know if it's true or not. It's one of those social media things, but I have heard that at least one of the cats got to like being in the water so much that she refused to get out of the pool. And I have heard stories of other cats liking water, but I'm guessing most of the cats were like, yeah, glad this scene is done. Now, both dogs are clearly very hurt by what seems to be the loss of Sassy. It's a Disney movie, of course he's going to be fine. But even Chance feels the loss, and he and Sassy were always at odds. Shadow feels guilty for making her come, and explains that it was his job to protect her, just the way he sees it as his job to protect Peter. And I love this speech he gives when Chance says, we didn't ask for this job being dogs. We're just dogs. We didn't ask for the job of watching over humans. And Shadow says they don't have to ask for that job. It's built into being a dog.
But we didn't ask for this job. We didn't have to. It's built in. Has been ever since the dawn of time, when a few wild dogs took it upon themselves to watch over man, to bark when he's in danger, to run and play with him when he's happy, to nuzzle him when he's lonely. That's why they call us man's best friend.
To me, that speech sums up what dogs are. And it's a beautiful moment in the movie, sad as it is because they're missing Sassy. And this is when Chance starts to look up to Shadow. He actually says he wishes that someday he could be like him after hearing the way Shadow talks. It's going to be a little hard for Shadow and Chance to be on their own without Sassy for a bit. Luckily, she was washed downstream and found by a kindly birdwatcher who nursed her back to health. But without her, they're having a hard time feeding themselves, and they run into another problem, a mountain lion. This is another incredible moment from Shadow. He actually outruns the mountain lion. And he and Chance set a trap to get that mountain lion to leave them alone. Shadow was actually inspired by Chance's idea and the way he used the seesaw earlier with Sassy. This is one cat who's going to regret messing with those dogs.
Hey, cut it out. Chance, now! Hasta la vista, kitty! Yeah, we did it! Wow, a couple of geniuses, right, Shadow?
It's Shadow's joyful barking that lets Sassy know where they are. She runs after them, and the moment that they're reunited is one of the happiest in the movie. It's really beautiful to watch the three friends come together again.
Sassy?
Couldn't be. Sassy! My boys! Sassy!
Happiest things are Chance is about to get himself into trouble. Of course, he's a puppy. That's what he does. I mean, he's still an adult here, but he's obviously just barely past the puppy stage. He comes across a porcupine, and anybody who's ever seen animals interact knows how this is going to go. Unfortunately, Chance is way too curious for his own good.
You sniff me. Hey, where you going? Hey, did I say you could go? Come back here. Hey, what about that hair when you stick your tongue in the toaster? He bit me with his butt!
Now, in real life, porcupine quills are serious business. They don't just stay stuck like that, they continue to work their way in. Chance is having a rough time of it when they happen to come across the little girl. Shadow hears her crying, and all of the pets keep her warm through the night. The following morning, Shadow hears the humans who are looking for her, and he barks to bring them to her, luckily for both them and for the little girl.
Easy, little fella.
The humans recognize all the pets from their missing posters, and they do the right thing. They take them to the pound and notify their owners so they can pick them up. But the problem is, Chance freaks out at the pound, and given his past, you can't really blame him.
They took us to the pound! I told you! This is it! This is the end of the line!
The people at the animal shelter mean well, but they make several mistakes. The first is putting a muzzle on Shadow. I don't know why they did this. Sure, nobody wants to get bitten by a dog, but as far as I know, it's not standard practice. It's removed as soon as they put him in his pen, and none of the other animals are muzzled. Of course, Chance couldn't be with the porcupine quills, but still, it's not shown on any other dog there. Once the muzzle was on, Shadow became frightened, which, of course, scared the others. Had Shadow been allowed to just walk with the humans and remain calm, he probably would have calmed Chance down. Now, another major mistake is shown with Chance. They pull out the porcupine quills without putting him under anesthesia. That would not happen in almost any veterinary practice today. It wouldn't have happened then either, so it's not realistic. They would have sedated him, because nobody wants him to be hurt any worse, and nobody wants to get bitten if he would bite in reaction to the pain, which Chance doesn't do, but it would have been a sensible precaution. Speaking of sensible precautions, they also do not try to contain Sassy in any way. She's not put in a carrier or anything like that. And of course, as soon as the truck door is opened, she bolts for it. Although I do love this line of hers. Anyone who's ever had a cat will be watching Sassy and be like, yes, this is a cat.
No, dummy, 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 dummy.
I'm pretty sure that's what my cat Sage says every time I call her and she doesn't want to come. Sassy is able to break the dogs out, and they all resume their quest to get home. They're much closer now, but tragically they miss seeing their family by just a few minutes. Their family would have found them and they would have been safe. But they're much closer to home now. Things are looking up until Shadow has an accident.
We're nearly home. Come on.
Shadow!
This gives us one of the most heart-wrenching moments in the movie. And this is so well done. The way the actors do the dialogue, and even though the dogs aren't actually hurt, just the looks on their faces, you can feel how much Chance wants Shadow to be okay. Before, he'd always thought of love as mushy stuff, but here he actually says how much he loves Shadow. And this is such a tear-jerking moment.
I love you, Shadow.
You've learned everything you need, Chance. Now all you have to learn is how to say goodbye.
For a few moments, it looks as if Shadow isn't going to complete the journey. We see Chance and Sassy make it home, and the family is waiting, looking up the hill where the other two came from, thinking, okay, when's Shadow going to come? And it looks like he's not going to make it. And even Peter says, he was too old. I'm not surprised he didn't make it. And Peter turns to walk back in the house. And the whole family's grief stricken. And then we look back up on the hill. And I defy anybody to not get teary eyed at this moment.
Peter.
Shadow!
Oh, Peter. I worried about you so.
Just the way Shadow says Peter's name, and the way he says, I worried about you. So here's Shadow. He's just traveled hundreds of miles. He's injured. And his first thought is, oh, thank God Peter's okay. Chance has learned a lot over the course of the movie. He's grown from a puppy who felt abandoned, felt betrayed, didn't feel that he could ever trust humans to really be there for him, to knowing the value of love. And he gives a nice little speech summing things up at the end.
I had a family. And I had found out that sacrifice and friendship and even love were more than just the mushy stuff.
Chance comments that it was Shadow's victory, was his belief that got them through. Shadow brought them home, and he did it in time for Thanksgiving. Which leads to one last moment of humor that shows, yeah, Chance has matured, but he's always going to be Chance. This is one of my favorite Disney movies. I must have watched this a million times as a kid. It's where it ends at Thanksgiving, but I think it also has that Thanksgiving feeling because it definitely has those themes of family and homecoming. I'd like to dedicate this video to all the elderly dogs who still have so much love to give and just ask nothing more than to be our shadows. All the cats out there who are sassy but still love us in their own way. And most especially to all the shelter pets who just need a second chance. I hope every one of you has a happy Thanksgiving, and until next time, remember the magic.